right, everybody. Welcome to the Super Awesome Podcast. This is a new thing we're doing. It's called Super Awesome Shorts. You're here with Captain Pete and the motherfucking bread man.
Doe.
Yeah. All right. What we're getting into today is Dragon Ball Z The Dead Zone. Released in 1989. This is the first Dragon Ball Z movie ever. And in Japan, it was called Dragon Ball Z The Movie. Do you have anything to say about this movie, Matthew?
Kind of serves as a prequel to Dragon Ball Z, a little after Dragon Ball. Goku and Piccolo still aren't like, Goku and Piccolo as people would know them from Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, they are not
Uh,
pals.
no. And I would say this movie definitely has some plot questions, as all Dragon Ball Z movies do.
Yeah.
But we can get into that.
No, I was gonna mention this movie is like it's not canon, but kind of canon. Like Akira Toriyama didn't write this one, uh, but it does show up in the regular Dragon Ball Z show far later on. Garlic Jr. returns in a small arc where Gohan and Piccolo have to send them all back to the dead zone once again. Which is what arc? What is that before?
Was it
That's like
after Frieza, before androids? Maybe
I think it's something like that. Yeah. So it's
in
like
that area.
yeah, it's like kind of canon, but not really canon. I don't know. I don't know how this one actually fits back in. It's like one of the only movies that Akira Toriyama didn't write, but it made its way into the regular Dragon Ball Z show,
Yeah,
which
they
is
kind
interesting.
they use Garlic Jr. as filler, more or less, in Dragon Ball Z. But he's kind of prominent. I mean, he's in GT. He's the reason why GT happens, and he's kind of a part of Super. So they incorporate him in every form of
Yeah,
Dragon Ball.
he's always he's always mentioned. He never has a real big role, even though he's the only guy to wish for immortality successfully.
Well, conveniently enough, the one
Yeah,
thing that he does is the one thing that can defeat immortality.
yeah. His one special move is his like the thing that fucks him over the most, and that's the big dead zone move. See, like he gets the immortality and then is immediately fucking fucks himself over because he can't defeat uh he can't defeat Goku and Piccolo. Um well he almost does, but then
Yeah,
little tiny Gohan comes to save the day.
which I love.
He just screams for like 10 fucking minutes.
um, I would say that I really like this movie, and it was. I mean, aside from the plot, we should probably go over the plot real quick. Um,
Yeah, a little bit.
so Garlic Jr. kidnaps Gohan because he's got the four-star Dragon Ball on his hat. Instead of just taking the hat, he decides to kidnap Gohan altogether. So he gets him back to his evil lair, and he's like, "Oh, I sense some strong power in you. You're going to be my disciple for some reason."
Well, his three little henchmen, fucking Ginger, fuck, what are their food names? Ginger,
God,
Pepper, and
he had a weird name. Like,
then there's one other guy. Yeah, his three little henchmen. They decide to kidnap Gohan altogether instead of just taking his hat off.
yeah. So I mean, Garlic Jr.'s goal is to get the Dragon Balls and wish for immortality, which he succeeds pretty early on in the movie. But you know, doesn't matter too much because at the end of the day, Goku and Piccolo and even Krillin team up and they beat some ass. Oh, and Kami shows up. A cool Kami
The
part to this
entrance
movie.
entrance of Kami is fucking awesome. He shows up like
Yeah,
all gold. He's like, "Bruh."
Super Kami comes in, and yeah, I really appreciated the Kami because he doesn't really do much but be an old man and the rest of
Yeah.
Dragon Ball content. I mean, I haven't seen Dragon Ball, so maybe he's more relevant in Dragon Ball, but
Well, he is because obviously, well, you have to watch Dragon Ball to know that uh Piccolo, he's actually Piccolo Jr. and is Kame is all of the good. Well, the Kame and Piccolo are two halves of one being. Piccolo is all the evil of Kame that he had to force out of himself, which is or back in Dragon Ball days, King Piccolo. And then King Piccolo, you know how Namekians, how they give birth? They just
hmm
shoot an egg out of their fucking face. And that's how Piccolo was born. Because Piccolo in Dragon Ball, he's originally called Piccolo Jr. Um, but I forget what the fuck. Oh, no, but the thing with Kami in this movie, Kami and Garlic Jr. Well, Garlic Senior, they go way back because they were like originally like who's going to be the new Guardian of the Earth, and Kame um became the Guardian because he knew Garlic Jr. or Garlic Senior was going to, just try to overthrow the Earth and just be a bad guy or whatever. And then Kame defeats him because Garlic Senior does try to attack him and then he gets defeated. And then Garlic Jr.'s like, I'm gonna avenge my father.
I'm gonna avenge my paw.
And Garlic Jr., can we just say when he's in his small form, he does look a lot like Emperor Pilaf, and he sounds a lot like him too.
Yeah. But wait, is that who I'm confusing him for in Dragon Ball
Probably.
GT?
You might
Hmm.
be. Yeah.
Okay, well,
Like,
just disregard that then. They kind of like Garlic Jr.'s. He's pretty evil in this one.
yeah.
So yeah, that's his whole motivation is because of his dad and trying to get revenge on Kami to be, I mean, to take over the world. But wanted to talk about the animation styles. I don't like when they're doing their flashbacks and they have like all the like the demons walking on like that
Oh yeah.
the
That
red
looks cool.
coloring and all that. Oh, so cool. But yeah,
No,
turns out end of the day, Goku and Piccolo are strong enough to take him down, but he's immortal, so he just comes back and he activates this big dead zone thing up in the sky that sucks everything, kind of like a black hole, essentially.
yeah.
And but then Gohan starts crying and gets pissed and snaps and just blast him into the dead zone when all hope looks lost.
Yeah. And then he has no recollection of doing it, uh, which is funny. But I think all the fights in like this movie, like most Dragon Ball Z movies, gets right into the action. It's like because it's kind of like a slightly longer, just regular episode, but they cut straight to the chase. There's no like not too much extra dialogue going on, but it
Yeah,
gets straight to the point. And all the action in this movie, I think, is pretty good. His three little henchmen, how they get swole and then they can pull like swords out of their bodies somehow. I
yeah, I
thought
wanted
that
to
was
comment
sweet.
on that. It's like, what the fuck do these swords come from? They just power up and can pull swords
It
out of their skin.
Yeah, it looked like it was like an elbow, and he just pulls, and then there's
Yeah,
like
I
a
mean, it was
fucking
cool.
sword. Yeah,
Um,
and
but
Krillin
yeah,
gets pissed on the face.
but yeah, I wanted to say something about that as well. I thought it was hilarious. All of a sudden, you get Cronus is getting pissed on, and he looks up, and it starts going in his mouth by drunk slash high Gohan because he ate a forbidden apple that we
Oh
don't
yeah,
talk about ever again. Um,
yeah. Whatever that tree was, that must have been some like 180 proof fucking apples. He gets wasted, and you have like a whole Dumbo scene. The
yeah,
movie,
it
and when
gets real
Dumbo gets
goofy for a
drunk.
second. Yeah, but I would say that this one, like of the first three movies, I don't feel like get any love. So we got Dead Zone, we got World's Strongest, and we got Tree of Might. I love all three of them. In fact, I got the whole pack right here. Oh, there's
Yeah,
five movies in here. Lord Slug and Cooler's Revenge too. Um, I think the first three don't get any love. I think this is the worst one of the three. That doesn't mean it's bad, but I think it's the worst one of the first three. So you said this is your first time watching it.
yeah. I for whatever reason thought I had seen this movie because I've seen most of the movies, but I don't think
Yeah.
I'd ever seen this one. But I think the reason I thought I've seen it because of the Dragon Ball Z arc with Garlic Jr.
Yeah.
I think that might be what I was confusing it with, but no, I'd say this movie's up there. I wouldn't put it in like I don't know where I'd put it. Like obviously Broly is my favorite Dragon Ball Z movie. Fucking hands down. Um but this one's pretty good. Action
Yeah.
packed. It doesn't and it also doesn't end with just Go because most Dragon Ball Z movies, if you've ever seen any of them, they end with Goku saving the day. Either with a dragon fist or like some other last second thing that he does. But this one ends with Gohan freaking out.
Gohan. I also like this movie a lot because Goku doesn't have anything special going on for him. He doesn't have Super Saiyan, doesn't have Kaioken.
Oh
He's
yeah.
got the Kamehameha, but he actually uses the Power Pole and Nimbus to get around. And him and Piccolo are still on equal ground, so it's fun to watch them fight together, being equals. And that's pretty much the only time that happens in any other Dragon Ball Z movie. Um,
No, it's great. I mean, he does use a power pole, which you never see
yeah,
uh in regular Dragon Ball Z or anything prior to this. And yeah, Piccolo's still considered like a major badass. And then they do start fighting. They think they like defeat the henchmen or whatever, and then they fucking start fighting each other. And
You talk about Goku and Piccolo.
yeah.
Like immediately upon thinking they killed Garlic Jr., they just start fighting all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's great.
But yeah, the part when Garlic Jr. comes back and he starts to do powering up and doing the dead zone move, fucking awesome.
I watched a video where it was talking about like in the timeline, like when this movie is supposed to take place, it like can't take place because
I, yeah,
unless it took place like the same day that like Raditz shows up or whatever. And then I saw a guy had like a theory. He's like, it's alternate timelines. This is a different fucking Dragon Ball Z than the regular Dragon Ball Z. I'm like, well, okay, that's a cool theory, but Garlic Jr. shows up in Dragon Ball Z anyway later on. So it's like
well, I mean, if
plot
you're new to
holes.
plot, yeah, I mean, if you're new to watching Dragon Ball Z movies, it's pretty common that they're not canon and also don't make a lot of sense, and also end in like like usually in a not very dramatic way.
Yeah. Most of the movies aren't canon. There are a handful of canon movies, but if you try to piece the movies together with the show, uh, I mean, you can kind of see the timeline of like what they should be. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
if you watch the Broly movie, that's like you got a teen Gohan or whatever, and he's like the strongest, right? He's the only one that can go like Super Saiyan
I mean, he
2, right?
should be. I
Yeah.
would love to have seen a Super Saiyan 2 Gohan fight Broly.
Well, I thought he does go Super Saiyan 2. He just
And Broly?
loses. Yeah, I think
No,
so.
he doesn't go Super Saiyan 2 in Broly.
Well,
They just
fuck.
leave that part out.
Wait a way. Fucking you can always kind of tell. You can tell by like what Gohan looks like in the movie where it should be at kind of in the Dragon Ball Z timeline,
Hmm.
even if does or does not make sense.
Yeah.
Oh, I
But
think we should mention there is no dog slice in the Super Awesome short.
oh yeah. I just barely noticed. Am I right?
Boy,
Uh
am I glad that guy ain't here.
uh we're doing the super awesome shorts as a way to maybe get more content pushed out there.
Yeah, a little extra stuff. Not trying to do, obviously we're not doing the same structure over this movie. Like we're not going to mention all the fucking well, I'd rather just not even try to pronounce half these Japanese names. But yeah,
Akira
1989.
Toriyama.
Yeah. Well, he didn't write it.
Hmm.
It was fuck, who did write it? Fuck.
It's just a way for us to do short form content. That's kind of just watch it then talk about it.
Yeah. And hopefully we do other topics, not just movies, maybe video games, whatever the fuck else. But this movie though, on a super awesome scale, I would give it I'd give it a solid 8 super awesomes for a Dragon Ball Z movie. I've seen way worse. But I think this one's good. That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
And there's
Have you
nothing I can really take away from it other than plot hole
have
bullshit.
you seen the next two?
The next two Dead Zones or
No,
the
I mean
Lord
the
Sluggan?
no World's Strongest and Tree of Might. Have you seen those?
I haven't seen World's Strongest in a really long time, but Tree of Might I've seen more recently.
So my super awesome scale, I give it 7 super awesomes out of 10 only because I like the next two better.
I was gonna say
And
I do like Tree of Might a lot.
but I like the villain in this movie a lot, Garlic Jr. I like how Goku and Piccolo are on equal ground. Just everybody seems more relevant in this one,
I mean,
and
even Chi Chi fucking squares up.
yeah, Chi Chi squares up. Kami comes in, that's awesome too. But the next one though, when like Master Roshi is even a big part of it and fighting, and yeah, I really appreciate the next one too. But that's another podcast. But I give this one a solid 7.5 super awesomes out of 10.
Yeah. It's hard for me to rank any Dragon Ball Z stuff like low on a super awesome scale.
Yeah, I mean, we're a bit biased maybe, but I don't know. I love the older Dragon Ball Z movies. And this movie came out 35 years ago.
Yeah.
God,
um
crazy.
One thing I will have to make a fucking complaint about is Funimation. Damn it, Funimation sucks. Like it's good, but it sucks because they got all of Dragon Ball Z, all of Dragon Ball. You might have streaming issues and it'll have to buffer and fuck up or whatever, but at least it's there. But it's all dubbed. None of the movies. First off, they don't have all the movies, and none of them are dubbed. So it's like, fuck.
Yeah, you have to. You watch the sub. I watched the dub.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't own it like you,
yeah,
fucking nerd.
you could have rented it for $4,
You could
or for
only
40,
you can only rent it on fucking Apple TV or whatever.
but it is dubbed.
I know, but I'm like, I'm not gonna fucking download Apple TV
Yeah, I don't blame you.
for one movie.
I'd like to do more Dragon Ball Z movies at some point, but Dog Slice will be a part of this at some point.
Well, yeah. I mean, just to have some. Not everybody wants to sit down and watch a or listen to a fucking hour long podcast or whatever. So if we can throw a fucking a short one out there for you, and we'll call these super awesome quickies.
Hey, I do like that name, but I like Super Awesome Shorts.
Yeah, it does roll
You
off the
guys
tongue.
vote. You decide.
Yeah. Everybody
Put it
out
in the
there,
comments.
what should we call the shorts?
Um, but yeah. So you gave it an 8. I gave it a 7.
What if we call them premature super awesome podcasts?
Premature Super Awesome Podcast. I like it. But yeah. Any final thoughts on this movie?
Final thoughts. If you haven't seen Dragon Ball Z, The Dead Zone, check it out because it's entertaining. If you like Dragon Ball Z, you'll like this, guaranteed.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people haven't seen
A
a
lot of
lot of
them,
the movie.
yeah,
Probably if you're like just the casual Dragon Ball Z fan, you probably have seen Broly.
yeah, probably
But
everybody's seen Broly, but
but I doubt anybody's dove into the other 15 movies.
yeah, there's more than you realize.
Yeah.
I think there's still some that I haven't seen. I don't think Wrath of the Dragon. I don't think I've ever seen that one.
That one's funny because Goku's not relevant at all until the very final minute. It's
Not
all it's a
surprised.
it's a Trunks, it's a kid Trunks movie.
Isn't?
And you get like an
Oh,
origin story of how he gets his sword. It's pretty cool. It's
hmm.
pretty good actually for being a later Dragon Ball Z movie. But final thoughts on Dead Zone. Highly recommend getting into it. It might be a good way to segue from Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z. I need to do that myself. I need to watch Dragon Ball, so I will be getting on that. But as soon as Funimation doesn't, or as Funimation lets me do it, I might just have to buy it.
Just borrow the shit from fucking Dog
Dog
Slice.
Slice.
Yeah,
Follow us on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube,
yeah,
Twitter, or X, at Super Awesome Podcast or at Super Awesome Pod.
yeah. Like, share, and subscribe. We don't have a
Ring the
wheel.
bell.
We don't have a way to actually do any of this shorts, but
They're just going to be random.
yeah, suggestions would be appreciated if anybody feels like doing like anything like
Absolutely.
that.
But already, that was a
No,
super awesome short.